Okay. It is my great privilege to do this great video. My name is Manu K.D. Shah. I am now 79 years old. I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, and been all over the place, forgotten all the places where I've been to. But anyway, I would like these great moments in my life and also the family to be recorded, and maybe this will help other people. My late father emigrated to Kenya at the age of 12, and obviously he came to Kenya to look for a better life, but 12 was a very young age. He managed, he fused with his relatives and moved on, got some basic education and started an apprenticeship at the age of 15. He worked for a while, and then he got a shock one day, and his father had decided that he'll get married to a girl in India whom he has never seen. So obviously in those days that was the way it was done. So my mom then came to Kenya, and they got married in Kenya. My father was very keen to learn, and whilst he was an apprentice, he had picked ideas on entrepreneurship, which he started putting into practice. His biggest challenge was finance or the startup capital. So he struggled for a while. Eventually he realized that my struggle is not going to do much. I have to invite partners. So he invited his cousins to take a share into his business and expand it. And that was the beginning of his career as an entrepreneur. Carried on, did well. I got a huge responsibility at the age of 20. My mother was not keeping well, and my father also developed some illness, so he told me, you have to take responsibility for the family and the business. Bit of a shock, but it had to be done. So you had to learn whilst you carried on. We were 8 siblings, 7 of them younger than me. So I had to make sure that they got the right education, they got the right exposure. Finance, of course, was the issue. It always is. So you had to juggle around, get your things done correctly. So previous to that, I was already involved in social work with St. John's Ambulance in Kenya and 3 years with St. John's UK. It was a great experience. And in that period in UK, I got an opportunity to meet the Queen at Buckingham Palace. We had a chat for about 15 minutes. It was wonderful. I had no clue what to talk about, but we managed somehow to give her memories of her becoming Queen in Kenya and things about Kenya. She was fascinated that normally a third world guy does not come to serve humanity in UK. So why do you do that? And yes, we had a wonderful chat about that, and her parting words were great. She asked me, is there anything I can do for you? And I said, Your Majesty, you have enough to do, and I'm okay. I'll carry on. So then, of course, I joined business. We expanded the business where it is today. Now this is a 75-year-old company that I'm running, and I've been there for 60 years. Things have worked out for my siblings. All are happy, I think. And we move on. And, in the meantime, I got involved with a lot of charity work and social work with our own community and outside the community. And I must always remember this experience at in the Jacaranda School for Mentally Retarded Children. I was there for a while. I learned a lot. I managed to meet some absolutely phenomenal people. And in that period, I also met Alan Root. And that was a journey because I learned so much about conservation, so much about nature. And we regularly met. He gave me all his videos, here the wildebeest, etc. That was a great exposure to nature and conservation. And he challenged me that you are living in paradise, you are stuck in your business, and you don't make an effort to go around Kenya. So he challenged me that you must visit every game park in Kenya. So at that time we were newly married and Viju was also excited, so we went around Kenya and we were amazed by nature and what Kenya has to offer. Obviously we've been to Uganda, Tanzania, etc., South Africa, Zambia, but Kenya is exciting. And you know about it that this is the paradise on earth. It absolutely is. In the morning we get birds here and I'm sitting in front of a forest which is 2,000 acres, the Karura forest. So, we started getting interested into other areas of human life and humanity and made friends with some incredible people. These are Irish, Australian, Norwegians, Swedes, Canadians, Americans. We all got together and we started exchanging notes and putting our minds together on things that matter. So in 1995, the United Nations made a statement that in year 1999 we will be 6 billion people. And in 25 years' time from there, we will be 8 billion. And they had estimated that of these 6 billion, 2 billion are poor. And they made an estimation that the other 2 billion who are going to be added to the 6 are also going to be poor. So their estimation and their challenge was, we are going to have 4 billion poor people out of 8 billion, 50%. That would be a disaster. The world can't handle that. So we put our minds together and think, what do we do about it? So we started wondering whether we should follow Professor Yunus of the Grameen Bank and his project and his design. You see, everything that you do needs a design. Even conservation needs a design. So we thought that to be able to get people out of poverty and get them to do a small business, we would have to train them, we would have to give them apprenticeships, things like that. But to our amazement, and today I can make that statement, and that sticks, because that was the notion globally, that you have to give them fundamental tools and capital. So we thought that we must experiment with things and learn. So my two friends were, one was a Norwegian, the other one was Swedish. So three of us together started the Jamii Bora Trust in 1999. This is the time when we are 6 billion. So the first thing we did was to challenge 50 beggars to collect 1,000 shillings each. This is 25 years ago, yeah. Now, for them, 1,000 shillings is also a challenge. So they collected 1,000 shillings each. So from our family, we gave 100,000. twice the amount. So they got a loan of 2,000 shillings each. That moved them to a new level. And they started doing whatever they could think of. And today I can confess that the capacity of a human being is just enormous. It has to be tapped, it has to be nurtured, and sky's the limit. So the beginning was with these 50 beggars. We then said that we cannot wait for opportunities, we have to create opportunities. So the first move we made was that to make it public that we are now, and we were registered as a trust. That's a legal process. So we start doing small things first and then move on. The first year, we managed to recruit 5,000 poor people to be members. Needed money. So our family put in 20 million. The Norwegian Trust, Strome Foundation, put in 20. So we got it moving. We then had an office near Yaya Center. So that was our headquarters for a while. And then said, okay, now when we have 5,000, we need to have a new branch. So a branch network started in the slums. So, when we started talking about a branch, all the senior staff and the trustees felt, yes, we must have an office of X specification. So I said, we are going to work in slums, so the spec must be poor friendly. Don't make it an executive office where people will be scared to come even. So we had basic furniture which we also made ourselves. A simple table, plastic chairs, a computer, and a bench for the visitors to come and sit on. That was the office. So we started renting office space all over the place. From 5 we reached next year 15,000. So we need to add on staff, but to recruit promoters. So these initial 50 ladies became promoters. So they went around slums of Kenya preaching that you can come out of poverty and you must give it a shot. So word spread around, no publicity, no television, no newspaper, nothing. It was word of mouth. And these guys made a great promotion. So from 15,000, we move on 35,000, 57,000. Our computer crashes. We have some basic programs, yeah. So we get this Indian software developer and challenge him that this computer should handle 1 million members. So he started writing that program. Today is a very well-known international company, Kraft Silicon. That was his first big break. We needed $1 million, so we had to raise it internationally. Got the $1 million and wrote the whole software and got the branch network moving. The staff we recruited were actually children of successful members, because they are the only ones who could appreciate poverty. Once we go on the normal human resource process, we are going to recruit graduates and people with diplomas, experience. They don't understand poverty. They are saying, bring a cash flow, project report. These guys don't have a project report, come on. We approved loans within 24 hours. That was the first thing we did as a process. Because loans can take 2 years to process. No, it should be processed within 24 hours. If you are going to reject an application, it will go to the CEO for final review. So corruption is out, yeah. So we went on, we expanded, we went to Marsabit and Turkana, all over the place. Eventually we had 106 branches in all slums all over Kenya. And we were doing this incredible process. Of course, there were failures, there were mistakes made. So we found that two challenges that the poor face. One is medical insurance. Somebody is going to get sick someday. One. Two, alcoholism. So we had to provide for this. At one stage, we were covering 1.2 million people on our medical cover. The premium was 1,000 shillings per year for a family of 5. Now you'll ask me, how can it be possible? It was only possible because we had a network with all the mission hospitals, including St. Mary's, where our family was very deeply involved. We could get medical treatment at a very low rate and in volume. Once you have an income of 20, 30 million and you slowly spend it and you earn interest on it, it can work. We proved that it can work. Now, unfortunately, you will get mischief and you will get wrong people registered and all sorts of fun claims. Anyway, alcoholism was a nightmare because we never realized that once somebody has some money, what is his first target? Alcohol. Because that's what everybody is doing. Now, when we started getting first batch of guys getting alcoholic, and they were successful members, the first thing that happens is their whole family suffers. The guy's gone. Now, when we researched all over the world to find out Alcoholic Anonymous, AA, how is it run and how is it managed, the programs written for alcoholics were for the rich people. And it was expensive to get them off alcohol. There is no medication. So it was group therapy. So we started an alcoholic program for the poor. It was called Levuka. And we started serving people. And in numbers, big numbers. Yeah. And we were successful, but maybe not as successful as we would like. So some members fell back, But ultimately, we actually managed to give loans to 500,000 families. We probably employ about 2 million people today. That's a big number for Kenya. So at one stage, we were covering 25% of Kenya's population. That's like doing 2 billion people in the world, yeah? It's a huge number. It had nightmares, of course. We had all sorts of things. Theft, thuggery, all sorts of things happened. But we had to take it into our stride and say, carry on. So we reached a stage, I was the chair for 10 years. And the way I was made the chair was so amazing and really ridiculous. We had 9 trustees, including me. 3 were African, 5 were whites, and I was the only Indian. So in our first full board meeting, the 8 of them told me to go out and have coffee and come back after half an hour. So I went back and they said, we have unanimously decided that till you die you remain chairman. There will never be an election. So, of course, you get shocked and surprised. So I said, if you don't mind, I have to ask you a few questions. This is a massive responsibility. Of course, we didn't know we were going to grow that to that size at that time. So I asked them, please give me the criteria for selecting me. So they said, we've done enough background research on you and we are actually making you chairman because of your integrity and your commitment, which they had found out, of course. They must have done their own research. And the 3 Africans were very knowledgeable people. And all others, the trustees, were fantastic people. So we worked together. We got on board lots of very big foundations, including Gates Foundation and Unite Us, which is a huge foundation in the US. But we also found out that these big foundations would eventually want to gobble you up. Yeah. So from that experience, I started learning about global poverty. So this program that we experimented with in Kenya was made available to the global microfinance community. At that time, there was a forum. So we gave them our experience. The biggest difference between us and everybody else was that we insisted that you have to save something to get something. That was the most incredible thing. Even Professor Yunus was so shocked that this is how it should be done. If you don't save, you don't commit, and you don't mind losing the money. So, on that concept, we did an experiment, and that experiment was mind-boggling, to say the least, because we said, look, there are guys who don't even know or have not even handled 100 shillings. And these are the guys we want to target. The beggars, the really poorest of the poor. So we made a scheme, it was called the top-up scheme. And it was simple. Any beggar can save any amount, even 10 shillings, and we'll issue him a receipt. It cost us 100 shillings to prepare that receipt. But we did that, and he kept on saving. He had to reach 500 shillings. Once he reached 500, he couldn't touch that money for 6 weeks. That was the test. And that was torture, actually. At the end of those 6 weeks, I added 500 onto that amount from the computer. So he had now 1,000 shillings. So he could borrow 2,000 shillings. The leverage is 4 times, from 500 to 2,000. Obviously, he got very excited about it. And said, my God, I'm going to be a businessman. Even with 2,000, you can start a small business. Yeah. Hawking. Or buying mitumba, selling it retail, whatever, Human being is ingenious. Every one of us is talented. Given the opportunity, you will do something. We did this for 40,000 families. So I put in 20 million. So the highest that our family contributed to Jamii Bora, this is going back 25 years, 330 million. And the dividend that we got is colossal. The The dividend is 10 million people's lives changed. Obviously, many may have fallen back, alcoholics, and indiscipline, family problems, sickness, all these things are issues. But they all move on. So these guys who got this break, the 40,000 beggars, will never be poor again. No way. They are going to go forward. So this challenge again came up and said, "Love, this world is going to have so many poor people." So I started studying the subject. What is being done globally? To my amazement, I found that the biggest contributor to reducing global poverty has been remittances from the immigrants. So in a 20-year period between 1999 and 2019, $12 trillion have been transferred. That's a massive amount. It's more than the aid they've received. Now, the beauty about it is so simple that this money is not going to the World Bank and then going to the family, or in the meantime the government also takes a little bit out. No. Western Union or others, even M-Pesa can do it. So, the money is transferred to the family. So, Bangladeshi working in the Middle East will starve himself to death to save money and to send it to his family. All this human trafficking is happening because of that. Somebody is sacrificing. Like my dad. My dad came here, he sacrificed. Your grandfather probably did the same. So the transmission of money to the family directly creates lots and lots of small businesses. The number is now so big that there are about 800 million small businesses in the world. And they have transformed global poverty. Do you know the number is not 4 billion? The number is only 650 billion. This is the biggest transformation that the world has ever seen. Now, when you try to talk about it to the World Bank, United Nations, they don't accept it. They don't even understand it. When we were doing this top-up scheme in Jamii Bora, one of our trustees was Rod Baxter. Now, Rod comes from a background of Silicon Valley, loaded guy. So this is not believable, and nobody is accepting it. So you have to come to Harvard and Stanford and make this knowledge available to MBA students in their final year, that this is what poverty is. I said, really speaking, who am I? I don't have a master's degree, nothing. I'm just an ordinary businessman in Kenya. They won't be impressed about this. So you find your own way to convey this message. And it's been proved now that given the tools, simple tools, people can get along and invent and do everything. I mean, look at, the world has changed, yeah? I want to just tell you about M-Pesa. Initially, when M-Pesa was created by Safaricom, Vodafone, they had a huge challenge because the banking industry in Kenya would not allow this to happen. So they brought in the Banking Act and said, and we were also affected by the Banking Act eventually. Yeah, I had to get out of Jamii Bora because people became greedy and they thought of creating a bank, and make money. So I said, no, I don't want to make money. I want to be out of it. So that's why I left in 2009. Now, M-Pesa has transformed Kenya in every possible way. 250,000 agents. Every little lane you go to is an M-Pesa, isn't it? And it's flawless. The transactions are flawless. It's so well protected. I'm sure there are fiddles going on, but maybe in a small number. But M-Pesa has really helped Kenya. And really mobile phone to the world.
Yeah.
Especially the smartphone. That has transformed human life. So this colossal experience I've had with Jamii Bora, I don't generally talk about it because people will never believe it. It can be done. And they will also not believe that a son of a businessman cannot be doing this. He is out of his range. So this was the transformational experience.
Great. Good.
So this has been great, and I only, in the final conclusion, I want to say this. The biggest challenge that the human being faces today is climate change. Because about maybe 5 million years ago, we had 10 trillion trees on Earth. Today we only have 3 trillion. So we massacred 7 trillion trees. How mad we are. Even the fish in the oceans, we've depleted now. It has become a huge challenge, but the ecosystem that we have destroyed, and we continue to destroy. It's a shame, really. We got an opportunity to live on the earth, transform from the monkey to the human being, and opportunity to do something really great could be done. It is being done, of course, because you learned late, but the human greed is the thing that really kills us. Because there are guys who earn $50,000, $50 million a year. Do they need it? That's a question. Yeah. We need to look at not only distributing income, but our responsibility to nature. That's your subject, I think. And so much can be done, but biggest challenge is fossil fuel. The amount of fossil fuel we burn every day. The reason is simple. God put 1 trillion tons of coal on the earth. And the profit that you can make out of 1 trillion tons of coal is so colossal that you cannot convince any human being to give it up. It's huge. Oil, natural gas. We continue to burn more and more. In fact, in the first 6 months of this year, China approved 160 new coal-fired plants. India is also building 50 or 60. So we continue to burn coal, and we are not going to give it up. I mean, this whole thing of wind power and solar power and hydro and geothermal is making a little dent in the whole scenario. New plants, yes, but it's a small dent. Till we say no more coal. And I want to share with the world, whoever is going to see my video, the solution is simple. The whole world becomes vegetarian in one single day. Then we have solved the problem. Thank you very much. Good luck. How was it?
Perfect. And if I may ask,
Yeah.
Why would the world becoming vegetarian impact this problem?
Very simple. When you put goats, sheep, cows, camels into the field, they give out methane, huge amount. It takes almost 1,000 gallons of water to produce 1 kilo of beef. Wasted resource. See, what we are doing, elephant is a vegetarian. He survives with a huge body weight. Yeah. What we are doing is growing food crops like corn to feed to the animal, goes through the animal cycle, and then we get meat. It will be far cheaper to get the same protein out of vegetables or plant-based proteins. Yeah, simple. It saves so much water, saves so much grassland, and get rid of CO2. And the more vegetables we grow, more vegetation and more trees, everything together, we are reducing carbon emission. Simultaneously, we get rid of coal.